It is a good day to die, but the day
Hello.
is not yet over. Are we on the internet? I think we are on the internet. I've got levels. I got folks muting themselves in Discord, I hope. And it looks like I'm getting good levels over on the stream. Okay, I think we're on the internet. Welcome. Hello again, this is Foghorn with another installment of some org operational academics for this, the 19th of January, 2949 for those of us that are living in the lore. This presentation is part of an ongoing series of academics for the members of the Aurora Republic, a premier role-playing organization and Star Citizen. If you are new to the Aurora Republic or visiting for the first time, let me start by saying welcome. We are glad to have you with us and would love to hear from you if you are interested in hearing more from us. We are a lawful good organization focused on roleplay exploration and social interaction and are currently active and recruiting on Spectrum and Discord. Before we get started, we actually have some new members. First, let me say welcome to Verpine and Elusive Man with an H, Mahan, Elusive Man, and welcome to the org. Glad to have you on board. Hope to see and hear great things about you. A few announcements before we get started. Recruiting drive still going on, good and strong. So we got some giveaways that are going on for that for folks based on how many they get before the next full org meeting. Speaking of which, the next full org meeting will be on the 23rd of March, Saturday, the 23rd of March at 16:30 Pacific. Also, Daymar Rally for those who are participating and those who want to watch. Daymar Rally is this, not tomorrow, but the next Sunday, the 27th of January, and I believe kickoff is at 0900, again, Pacific time. We have, the Aurora Republic has a couple of teams in that. And with all of the wonderful, wonderful stability of 3.4.2, I expect this to go horribly, horribly wrong. So, but it'll be fun to watch either way. And we are, I believe, planning on streaming it from on our channel, at least our point of view, as it goes on. So, do show up and watch if you got the time. Assuming things don't crash right off the bat or fairly early on, I expect things will probably go most of the day if the race actually is successful. 300 kilometers going on across Daymar, starting at Shubin, mining facility SCD-1 on Daymar, going from there 30.2-ish or 32 point something-ish kilometers across rocks and sand as fast as you can manage to Eager Flats, hang a left, and go the remaining rest of the 300 kilometers across open sands and rocks and valleys and dragons and whatever else they put out there. Banthas and sand people shooting at you. I'm sure it's going to be horrible. But it should be a good time. So come on out, watch, root for your team. By coming out, I mean show up on this channel, this that bat time, this bat channel, and watch and root for Team Event Horizon, which is our buggy team, and Team Xenios, which I believe is our bike team. So we have a bike and a buggy team that are competing. Nobody is competing in the Ursa division. Anywho, rules of engagement. Streaming on this video on Twitch. So thank you for muting on if you're listening in Discord, because anything you say can and will immediately be transmitted across the internet and used to mock you and make fun of you later, because we do that because we love you. There is an 8-second delay between what I say and where it comes out on Twitch. So if you're listening in both, I would suggest you mute Twitch so that you're not hearing me echo, and come around a couple of times, because listening to me just once is probably as much pain as you can take. So let's not do that any more than you have to. I am monitoring the Twitch chat and all of those big robots that Guatemalan water snake just shoved in there, so that's kind of cool. But if you have a question, and you can either unmute yourself in Discord and ask it real time, or you can post it in the Twitch chat, and I will answer it as fast as I can see it. And I will repeat the question if it's via text style, and I will repeat it so that everybody who may be watching this recording later can know what was asked before I answer it. Okay, cool. Tonight we're going to discuss. Boink. Whoops. Yeah, we're going to do some. We're actually revisiting previous, two different previous talks that I'm just going to recount here. And based on these things have kind of come to be sort of hot and heavy recently, so I'm going to revisit them, Redux, with some new information and maybe some new perspectives, and based on some of the discussions I've been going, just so that the folks who weren't in some of these discussions can also kind of understand what was said and get their voices heard as well. So basically, this shouldn't take too long because we've all heard this before, or most of the folks have heard this before. So there's basically two typical comm networks when you're talking about some sort of an org operation, or based on military operations. There's sort of two different schemas of how to set up communications networks, and one is sort of favored by surface forces across the modern day militaries that exist on planet Earth. And the first one that most of the surface forces organize themselves is what we call a vertical arrangement. The assumptions is that most of the combat units at the lowest level are only on some sort of a single channel capability, a single channel radio. However, the unit leaders up are dual channel capable. So as you can kind of see on that, let's see here if I can, where's my cool pseudo laser pointer? Let me grab laser pointer. Okay, so your fielded forces down here are single channel capability, of course, talking with their unit leader, so a platoon leader. Each, however, they have basically two channels capable, one to talk within their fighting unit and give orders and that sort of thing and relay information, and then a separate channel that's sort of a command channel to contact and pass information and pass orders and reports up and down through the next level of the sort of chain of command. And then, of course, that level has two channels for the same thing. So it's the stacked tiers like that. That's why it's called vertical. This has both advantages and disadvantages. The advantage is that it's much cleaner comms. The radios between each of the channels tend to stay a little bit cleaner, except for maybe at the lower level. It kind of depends on how that unit sort of runs their own comm discipline. How much extraneous chatter they allow. The unit commander would allow on that freak before he goes, hey, let's focus on what the hell we're doing. But the disadvantage is it tends to compartmentalize situational awareness. The troopers down here at the lowest level only know what the next echelon up has told them. They don't know what's been said at the higher and said at the higher. Now, there's going to be a lot of folks out there that are going to well, that's the way it's supposed to be. They're not supposed to know that stuff up there, and there is a certain logic to that as well. However, a critical bit of intel takes longer to get filtered down through all of these tiers because it has to be, the grapevine game. It has to be handed from, A to B to C to D before it gets down to the trooper who needs it at the fastest amount of time. So that's the downside, is vertical stacked tiers kind of comm networks can be slower because it's all handoff. Whereas the other sort of, like I said, there's really only two ways to do it. The other way is typical of how aviation does it. And that assumes that all players within that are dual channel capable. So you've got two different radio channels that you can have used. So they'll have one, usually referred to as the auxiliary frequency, which is within their own flight. So in this case, this set of Hornets has a frequency that they're on. This set of Hornets has their own discrete frequency they're on. This set of Sabres has their own. Maybe these, I won't say capital ships, but bigger ships here are all on their own frequency. But then on the primary radio, they're on some sort of a ubiquitous, like we affectionately would call it strike prime, where they're all on a mutual command net along with other agencies, like some sort of a command and control platform or something like that. And it's, again, within their own discrete intra-flight frequency, they can chatter however much they want on whatever they need to be talking about without garbaging up the bigger radio picture but yet the the important information is flowed and shared equally. Everybody is actually monitoring this big one. Only the leaders of each unit would be talking on it, but everybody hears it. That way, if if the intelligence platform has some bit of information, only has to transmit it once. Everybody heard it the first time. Nobody has to repeat it and hand it from A to B to C to D. So you don't have to play the grapevine game. It's a broadcast, sort of a broadcast. So the advantage of that is, of course, is shared situational awareness. If it's said on the Strike Prime, everybody heard it. Even though not everybody's really allowed to speak on Strike Prime. Everybody heard it, and therefore you only got to say it once. The downside of this is that because everybody is on Strike Prime, nothing is barring them from keying up onto the primary radio frequency on aka Strike Prime and garbaging it up. There's nothing to stop them from doing it. So it is very, very, very discipline heavy. Each person, each node on that network, each person out there has to be very disciplined about not transmitting on the Strike Prime unless it's something actually pertinent for Strike Prime, and that takes discipline and training. So that's while information flows faster in a horizontal network such as this, the shared frequency Strike Prime in this example can go to garbage really fast if everybody's not super disciplined about when they transmit on Strike Prime versus when they don't. Again, their own discrete frequencies is their own. They can, chatter or not chatter or whatever, as much or as little is appropriate to whatever that unit commander would feel is appropriate, of course. So those are sort of the two big schemas for communications networks. And, the standard discussion is going to be, well, which one's the one we should use? And the answer is they both have their advantages and disadvantages. So it sort of kind of depends. Standard fighter pilot answer number one, it depends. It depends on a lot of things. They both might be better or worse in different situations. So the true answer is you actually probably need to understand how both work and what's important in each one. So in our org for Plane and Star Citizen, we've actually recently come up with a decent way of doing two-channel communications. Basically, a way of simulating having two radios like we do in most aircraft. Even civilian aircraft usually will stock two radios in the dash so that they can talk on two different frequencies simultaneously and monitor two different frequencies simultaneously. And that's a very similar capability that we've actually been looking for quite a while. And it hinges on the ability to use Discord PTB. So Discord not only has its stable sort of for the street version, which all of us are on currently, but they also have a public test beta PTB version, which actually looks identical, which can be downloaded from their website. To get this to work the way we want, you have to have a second account. So you need to have a second email account and make a separate account on the Discord BTB. And as an Aurora Republic standard, if you decide to do this, we would request that you make your second account's nickname when you come into the server, make it the same as your original name, just put a 2 at the end. So there'll be a Foghorn and a Foghorn 2, a Simon Says and a Simon Says 2, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then the other thing is like while you're at it, go ahead and map push to talks for both Discord and Discord PTB. That doesn't mean you have to, when, normal days like right now when we're kind of, we're up in the 90-degree cantina and we're sitting around smoking and joking and having a good time and enjoying each other's company. That doesn't mean you need to be on push to talk then. But I would at least have those set up so that when it is time to go do an op or an exercise, you can kick into push to talk. And I would highly recommend that we start doing that so that things like background noise and extraneous off, not into the microphone conversations because your child just came into the room or your spouse came in to ask a question or something like that, so that the rest of us aren't listening to it when we're trying to focus on what we're doing. Not to mention that it's none of our business anyway. So I would like to again highly recommend that you at least map a couple of push to talks, one for each push to talk button, and they need to be different buttons. And the reason will become obvious in a moment. Anyway, so where do you get it? You go to the same spot that you got Discord from. You go to the discordapp.com, download. You will see this window you got on the left with the periwinkle. This is where this download button right now will give you normal vanilla Discord. You'll notice right here that it says public test build. I guess B doesn't stand for beta. I guess it stands for public test build. So you click on that, and it'll look like nothing happened because it'll look exactly like the same window, except for the public test build words right here will go away, and it'll say get the vanilla one, or I can't remember exactly what it says, but once you've clicked that, that's the only thing that'll change. It'll say go back to the commercial version or whatever. I can't remember exactly how it's worded, but now that download button will give you the PTB. Download it, install it just like you did Discord the first time. However, use that second account name that you've come up with, and you should end up with two icons on your desktop. First one obviously being your standard Discord, and the second one being the Discord PTB. Just that simple. Now, when you're going to go do this and you fire them both up, here's an example that I did last week. So the naming convention won't match because we didn't really come up with that idea until today. But you'd have your one Discord window, you'd have your other Discord window. You could be in one channel, like you see I'm here in AR Foghorn, and then you could be off in another channel where my second one at the time I was experimenting with this, I just called it Kingpin. Kingpin 1, you see he's over in race day. So I'm in leadership and I'm in race day, both voice chats at the same time, and if I have push to talk put on both of them, then I won't be doing any simulcasting. I can just simply hit the key that keys up this Discord over here and talks, and then I can hit the other key to key up this Discord over here and talk, and voila, you've got two separate two-channel communications using Discord. You will be listening to both channels simultaneously. So of course the natural question is going to be, well, how are you going to know who's talking on which? And it's just going to sound like a cacophony and people talking over top of you. And the answer is yes, it will. However, there are some techniques to help differentiate which is which. The technique that most of us use in aircraft is differential volumes. So I'll take one frequency, if you will, one channel, and I will come down here onto the settings, and I'll go to voice and video, and I will take the output volume and I will turn it up to about 125%, and the other one I would do the same thing and take its volume and take it down to about 75%, so that anything that's said on one is noticeably louder than anything that's said on the other. And that way you can, just by audio volume, you can differentiate which frequency you're being talked to or which channel you're being talked to on at what by which message, and then you can of course key appropriately to respond. That's the way it's done in jets, man. And by the way, that's also the way it's that technique I also hear is very common amongst a lot of the bros I used to have in the military who were ground pounder folk. I say that with nothing but the utmost of love and respect for those guys. Anyway, so Vox versus PTT. There were some discussions today about this, about, hey, there's actually some time in these where Vox is actually more appropriate. By Vox, I mean just voice activated, not a push to talk. You can just talk and it's a hot mic. And that was pretty much anything that was intra-craft, if you will. So if you're talking about a bigger, like, capital ship, or something like that, a hammerhead or bigger things that are going to have multi-person spacecraft, then the internal crew needs to be on Vox, not needing to push to talk while the gunner has his hands full of turret trying to defend the defend the spacecraft from the bad guys, kind of thing. So, and that makes a whole lot of sense. So that would probably be a suggestion. Obviously, we can always run it any way we want, and it's a lot of that's going to be up to whoever that spacecraft commander is. Push to talk. If you're talking about ship to ship, but within a group, so like a flight of 4 fighters, then of course probably push to talk on both is appropriate, and definitely outside of those groups. So multiple groups of fighters working together, or along with bigger spacecraft and stuff like that, then definitely the things where you guys would be talking over an intercom, it'd probably time to use Vox. And if you're talking between ships where you'd probably in real life would be keying the mic to a radio, then that's probably when you would want push to talk on Discord to get that better simulation of communications, which is kind of our organization's thing, trying to play Star Citizen as if it were real, or as close to real as is practicable. So there you go. VoIP will do crew Vox. In my opinion, Vox is software or the in-game VoIP that is on the roadmap for 3.5. By Vox, I just mean voice activation in like Discord right here. Like right now, I'm not only transmitting on Twitch and streaming this out, but also I'm in our academics channel on Discord, and I'm not using a push to talk. Like my microphone is just hot, and I speak and it transmits what I say. So that's what I mean by Vox. It's not software. Vox is not like a special software you have to go buy or anything like that. Okay, cool. The in-game VoIP has, I think, both switches hot mic. Yeah, exactly. Every single time Proteus made that joke on air, I was always yelling at the screen. I'm right here. So, anywho, that's actually it in a nutshell. So I'll pause for a moment or two in case anybody has any other questions. Looking at the chat, feel free to come up and do it vocally if you'd like. We are not mandating that you go get Discord PTB, but I think it's probably going to be the best way to go. We had some discussion today on the use of TeamSpeak as well. But basically TeamSpeak's doing the same thing. They just put it all in tabs. So at that point, later on, we're also we're watching very carefully CIG's development of Spectrum and its voice over IP VoIP in Star Citizen. They've got the very first tier 0 rudimentary, what do you want to call it? Rudimentary implementation of it is in game right now, and it's kind of, some guys have been experimenting with it, and we've been getting some feedback on what how well it's been working. So it's interesting. We're definitely going to watch it. It's definitely nowhere near the point that it's time to move away from Discord for any reason. So this will be our 2-channel schema with using Discord and Discord PTP for the foreseeable future. So, all right, nobody's asked any questions, and I've stalled for time long enough, so I will wrap this up as soon as I can, find my derriere with both hands at the same time. I think I'm actually coming down with a cold or something, because my voice is a little rough today. But this wraps up this installment of Academics with Foghorn. Hope you found it interesting and helpful. If you have any questions I didn't answer, please feel free to contact me via email, Discord, Spectrum, and of course any comment section below any sort of a YouTube post. That'll happen in a later date here, and I will answer it to the best of my ability as quickly as I can. If you're part of the Aurora Republic membership and haven't hit follows and subscribe buttons and all that stuff for this channel, Twitch and YouTube appropriate, please hit it immediately, enable notifications so you can remain up to date whenever we're streaming or posting new content. If you're a visitor to this channel, please feel free also to hit those follows and subscribes and all that sort of thing, as we do actually pay attention to that feedback, and it does help us when we're considering how to improve our content. If you'd like to hear more, you can find more information on our website, which of course is right there on the screen for you with the aurorarepublic.space. And you can find us on Spectrum at robertspaceindustries.com/orgs/AuroraRep. And if you're already watching us on Twitch and YouTube, then you already figured out how to find us on Twitch and YouTube. So I will see you next time. This is Foghorn signing off, wishing you a pleasant remainder of your morning, afternoon, and or evening. And thank you very, very much for watching.